Good evening. I'd like to call the December 21st, 2023 Board of Education regular meeting, tax levy hearing and strategic planning meeting for Lincoln Way Community High School District 210 to order. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Ms. Davis, can you please call the roll?
Dina Berthel.
Here.
Catherine Johnson.
Here.
Joseph Kostek.
Here.
Richard Lacine. Caitlin Olenek.
Here.
Deidre Stokes. Aaron Janik.
Here. All right, first up, we have the student council presidents. Who would like to go first? The podium's over there. Just make sure you hit the little person, get the green button.
Like that? All good?
You got it.
Good evening. The Knights have had a very busy but exciting couple of weeks since Thanksgiving break. Our student council just hosted De-Stress before the test week, hoping to bring some ease and comfort before a tough week of finals. We had numerous activities during advisory periods, including time with the cutest service dogs, a cookie decorating workshop, and the Zen Den, which was an opportunity during advisory for students to relax, interact with each other, and practice their mindfulness. Student council also participated in a service-based meeting where we created holiday cards for children at Lurie's Children's Hospital in an effort to think of those less fortunate than us and spread some much-needed holiday cheer. Also, the Knights have been celebrating Festive Finals, which is an initiative to combat the stress of finals by bringing joy and spirit and holiday music during passing periods into our hallways. So on Monday, students dressed in red and green and holiday sweaters, and then on Tuesday, everyone dressed in their holiday pajamas. So it was the comfiest school day we've had all year. After Christmas, we are super excited to start planning our winter night dance, which will happen here on February 3rd. After our successful fall season, our winter athletes were ready to begin their seasons with the same attitude and effort. Although it's early in the season, all of our sports are looking to have great conference and IHSA runs. Girls basketball is off to a great start with a 10-1 record. Boys bowling has had a dual record of 7-4, and our wrestling team has started the season undefeated with a 9-0 record, so I can't wait to see what we all do after break. Central activities have also been thriving. The Madrigals had 3 amazing performances and sold-out shows. FFA created holiday centerpieces for the local community, and Interact Club collected over 300 socks during their Socktober drive. NHS collected 180 toys for the Marine Toys for Tots and over 200 items for the Mantino's Veterans Home. And our yearbook members also hosted Pictures with Santa, which is a free photo event for Lincoln Way Central families. Overall, we've had a great couple of weeks, and now just one more day is the finals, and we'll be ready for a relaxing winter break. So happy holidays, and I will see you guys all in 2024.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here to represent Lincoln Way West and give some insight on the recent happenings at school. It is important to note that all our fall sports were a success this year. Our football team took first place in conference, and the West Side showed up with full enthusiasm and support as they played in the IHSA state quarterfinals. Also, girls volleyball set a new school record for the most wins in a season. Overall, West teams showed exemplary effort, and we had great successes this fall. We are looking forward to winter sports as bowling, wrestling, basketball, and other exciting athletic events begin. Our students always do a great job to support our teams, and I am sure that the winter season will be no different. We are thrilled to announce that our competitive cheerleading program is hosting a competition at West on Friday, January 12th. In addition, our theater program just put on record-setting Madrigals performances. Looking forward, auditions open this month to our students in preparation for Matilda, the musical, this spring. As a proud president, I'd like to mention that Student Council Executive Board had the opportunity to attend the Student Council Convention hosted by Andrew. It was a great opportunity to connect with our surrounding high schools and collaborate on ways to improve life at West. As the season of giving approaches, our school is helping to provide for our community. Student Council has contributed to this effort by conducting a Thanksgiving food drive and adopting families to provide gifts for the holidays. Also, our Polar Express event was a fun, festive activity that was open to the community on December 16th. We had many families come to enjoy the event, and it was a huge success. Interact Club volunteered with the Rotary Club of New Lenox to buy and wrap gifts for the Morning Star mission in Joliet. They also had several students volunteer at the New Lenox Food Pantry. Furthermore, Bring Change to Mind and Warrior Way members conducted a food drive where students could participate to be entered in a raffle. The donations went to Guardian Angel Community Services. Lincoln Way West sponsored 12 local families in this year's holiday sharing program, organized by the PPS department. We had 14 sponsoring groups to make the holidays a little brighter for those in need. Lastly, Better Together is currently partnering with Morning Star Mission to contribute clothing items, blankets, hats, and gloves. We finished out the semester strong as students prepared for and successfully made it through a week of finals. We even had support dogs at school to help carry our students to winter break. I wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have a public comment. The first individual signed up is Andrew Franson.
Okay, good, it's on. I didn't forget it like last time. So I wanted to take a little bit of time just to direct this comment towards the Strategic Plan Committee, is that we are making decisions on behalf of students. And one of the reasons that I signed up to be on the Strategic Planning Committee was to not only encourage student advocacy, but speak for students. And that tonight, our deliberations will not only impact us currently, but will impact all future students that we have. In the words of Paulo Freire, education is, as current in its current form, is powerlessness. We must do all that we can to ensure that our students have power and are able to advocate for themselves like never before. And I have faith in the people that I met last night that we will be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll now open the hearing for the 2023 tax levy. We have one individual signed up for public comment on that. It's Manuel Rivera.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Manuel Rivera. I live in community 60423 Frankfurt, and I just wanted to, hopefully we'll get a chance during the discussion today to talk about a few things. And based on the discussion that we had before the meeting, which I hope that would be entered in a record, so I hope we can reiterate some of the things we spoke about at the beginning of this this meeting that we have here. So I'm sure we've all known that we've seen quite appreciable increases in the property values and the selling prices of the homes in this community. So this comment is less of a argumentative statement, other than I'll say that we're in the midst of a housing bubble, and we've seen both prices increase quite significantly, but also decline in recent times. Macroeconomic pressures, interest rates, inflation, the cost of borrowing, the cost of owning a home and just living in it, and also the pressure that's being put on the community members. So I'm asking just on behalf of myself, but also I speak for many people in a situation like me where we work and we're just trying to raise a family in a community, and we hope to be able to live in our home for as long as we can and not feel the pressures of some of the nearby counties who've seen humongous tax increases, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year. For most people who are working, that's too much. So I'm just asking if we could to just have some prudence and strategic planning. And based on the discussions we had before this meeting, I'm sure that that's definitely targeted, where you'll perhaps target the right investment, being strategic and thinking years ahead. And it seems like you've made, based on our discussions, some great moves and great progress to that front. Also, I'm hoping that we can have a situation where we can provide better community awareness and engagement for people like me who are generally uninformed on what's happening. I think that the activity that we undertake in our local community probably has the biggest impact on our daily lives. And even though the federal government has created a lot of these problems, as well as some other things that are out of the control of any institution, please consider the pressure that you're going to put on and the people who are going to leave the community because they can no longer afford to live here. Citing certain things, for example, depending on the source, but Redfin says that we've seen an average increase in home values and home selling prices of 17.6% year over year in November to November. That's quite significant, with the average selling price of $435,000. That we've seen according to the Illinois Policy Institute, a 1.8% increase in the past 30 years of wages, but a 3.5% increase in property taxes. It's quite imbalanced when you look at it. There may be small percentages, but it is a big imbalance. And that Bloomberg also attributes the increase in prices to the fact that investment bankers are entering into the home market and bidding up homes. And in fact, they own somewhere between 24 to 30% of homes in the United States and will most likely continue to acquire more. For most people that work for a living, it's impossible to compete against that. And for those who are real estate investors, both here and anywhere else in the United States, we've seen competition that is impossible to compete against at this point. So I know that we're going to have a great meeting, and I know that you'll share some of the things we spoke about before so it can be entered in a record, and I thank you for the time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to comment on the 2023 tax levy? All right, hearing no additional comments, I would ask for a motion to close the tax levy hearing.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
And Ms. Davis, can you call the roll call vote, please? Or can you open the vote?
Vote is open.
I don't see anything.
No.
No.
Oh, now it is.
Well, I'll vote yes to close it. There we go. It's popped up. All right.
Okay,
Must be the
sorry.
internet in here. I'm just kidding, Cheryl. Just kidding.
The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
All right, so the tax levy hearing is closed. All right, moving on, we have the summer 2024 capital projects update.
So at the October 19th board meeting, Chuck and I talked about upcoming capital projects that we were recommending for this summer of 2024. We talked about a $3 million pre-funding amount for those improvements, and as you know, $2 million was already allocated for the pool pack, and that left us with a budget of about $1 million. We had 5 projects that we were pursuing. We've gone out to bid or requested proposals when appropriate for 4 of those 5, and that's in this cover memo that you see included in your packet materials. What I'll do is just give a quick overview now rather than talking about each one individually during the action portion, but if you do have any questions individually, please let me know. We are recommending that the board approve 4 of these 5 projects with revised scopes for both roofing and seal coating. The pricing for roofing came in a little bit higher than we thought, and DLA has worked with Chuck and done an assessment of the central roof and recommends holding on that for right now and only moving forward with the east. And then Chuck did a really nice job putting together some bid specifications for seal coating and striping throughout the district to get a gauge on what it would look like to do everything as well as different alternates. And that put us in a position to look over the next 4 or 5 years how to do that very strategically. And so what you see here in that recommendation being lower than budget, that's because we're recommending going forward with sections of each school and transportation. And we feel it's important to come in under budget because we still do have that one project to go out to bid for, and that's the building automation. And that's why you see that italicized there as 105. We don't have that number yet. Additional details are provided for each of those in the action portion. We want to remain within budget, so we recommend approving paving for the $242,000 that you see there, roofing for $260,000, seal coating for just under $99,000, and then the fire panel repairs and improvements for $95,000. We feel that'll keep us in line with the budget we set. Happy to take any questions, or Chuck can speak in more detail to any of these projects if you want.
So we're going to hold off on the building automation until we get the numbers?
So this is just a timing piece, is that we don't have bids back from building automation. But what we didn't want to do is hold on these projects because we have the numbers. And then what we're able to accomplish with building automation is it's very similar to the fire panel and seal coating, where Chuck has designed the project to have a layered scope. And so we can start smaller, and how much we accomplish is just going to depend on how those bids come back.
So are we bringing the bid for building automation back the next month, correct?
It will come back in January and
January,
February,
February,
probably.
correct.
Yep.
So we're not, the board will not approve the building automation. They will do, they're approving the first 4 this evening. We're
Correct.
asking to approve the first 4. The building automation will come back at a future date.
Yes, sir.
And we'll recalculate, but we've given ourselves some some wiggle room for that automation to fit in the final budget that we had proposed previous.
Right, so we budgeted a little over $1 million, we're at about 800,000.
Correct.
If we get the 105, say it comes in at exactly 105.
We would
right?
be about 200,000 under budget.
Under budget.
So then that 200,000 under budget, would we then look to do more seal coating?
I don't think at this
roofing?
time, no,
We'll see
because
where
once
we're
we
at.
commit to the projects, that scope is kind of set. What we
Okay.
would do is, and as you know, with that pre-funding amount, what that allows us to do is ensure that Fund 60 balances are there.
Stand reserves.
And then
Yeah.
that builds up the reserves for the future. Yep.
Is the 105,000, is that the budget for the entire project, or is that also a scaled back version?
Layered.
That is part of the layered.
That's
Layered
part of your
version.
first round of that layering for building automation, right?
Building automation is broken into about 7 different pieces.
Gotcha.
That
Okay.
105 would be 2 campuses, first piece.
Gotcha. Okay.
Any other questions on the capital projects update? All right. Moving on, we have the consent agenda items F1 through F5. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Second. All right, would anyone like to discuss any of the items in the consent agenda? Hearing no discussion, can you please open the vote?
May I call the vote, please?
Sure.
It came up. Here we
Okay.
go. It's going a little slow. Okay, it is open.
Okay.
The vote is unanimous. The motion is unanimous. The vote passes.
All right. Next up, we have presentation of invoices from November 17th, 2023 through December 21st, 2023.
Motion to approve invoices in the amount of $5,104,547.39.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any questions on the invoices? All right. Hearing no questions, please open the vote. We're usually in the other side of the room, so I think it's just this area.
It's slow. There's not a-
Okay.
We're usually not in this corner.
No. All right, it's not happening. Okay, I would like to call this vote. Do we all agree on this vote?
Sure.
Sure, okay. That is a unanimous vote. The motion passes.
Do we have to call it individually, or?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything with money, so yeah.
Yeah,
we can go
okay.
individual. Go ahead, Michelle.
There we go. Dana Berthel,
Aye.
Catherine Johnson,
Aye.
Joseph Kostek,
Aye.
Caitlin Olenek. And Mr. Janik.
Aye.
And that vote is unanimous. It passes. The motion passes.
All right. Next up, we have the treasurer's report for November 2023.
For the month of November, revenues totaled $3.8 million, expenses $9.6 million. The all funds cash balance was $70 million. Through November 30th, we've had 46% of our operating revenues received, and 40.5% of the operational spending has occurred. For sake of comparison, last year that was 43 and just under 42. So we're trending pretty favorably so far this year through November. Investments, as you know, we continue to ladder those. We've been in contact with PMA, and we do continue to invest. Through November, I will say that the 60, 90, and 120-day T-bills, our liquid asset fund and our next bank, the sweep accounts, continue to keep pace with those T-bill rates. And actually, some of the longer-term ones are starting to tick down just a little bit. So the liquidity is actually helping us, and those rates remain high. And then in terms of cash flow, it's a negative 271 for the month of November. Lower tax activity, we knew that would happen. Other local revenues trended very favorably, and then no capital improvement spending occurred in November.
All right. Any questions for Mike? Anything we need to be on the lookout for in the next few months?
No, right now we're trending very well. The last couple of months have been lower, I think because of stop loss for medical insurance, and so that's obviously, one of our biggest expenses. That's done a little bit better. As we enter the new calendar year, that's something that we will watch. We'll see how those claims come in, but we won't be taking advantage of any stop losses at that point, right? So there'll be a little reset there. But we are, as you can see, we're trending okay so far this fiscal year. We did, in the bills you just approved, have some late summer '23 capital bills, so the non-operating expenses will tick up a little bit, but we're still okay.
And then as we get into next month and the following, we'll start to see a little uptick in the north bills as the building's being occupied. So we're working, Kelly and Mike are working now, and Chuck, to keep those out to the sides. We'll be able to report monthly how that's affected our bottom line.
And obviously with the agreement we have with Lockport, that they're covering those.
Correct. They're covering the operational costs while they're there.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. All right, let's open it up. We can do it.
Need a motion in a second, Diane, are we good?
I thought we had a motion in a second already, didn't we?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So go ahead and get a motion.
I would probably need a motion then to approve it. I'm
So
sorry.
moved.
All right, thank you, Joe. All right, we have a motion and a second. Now you can open the vote. That's why I keep you on the staff, Joe.
Glad I can help.
All right.
It's not here yet. There it is.
Yeah, there it is. It's got to go up to the mothership and come back down.
Ready to change your priority on one of those posters back there.
The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
All right. Next up is the student activities report for November 2023.
Student activities report is in your backup materials. We did have one account at the negative. It is now positive again. They're requesting 4 new accounts. FCCLA at Central, Better Together at West, Muslim Student Association at West, and Athletics, Strength, and Conditioning at West. 4 different clubs that are starting. I recommend that you approve the student activity summary, student account activity account summary as presented.
What's FCCLA stand for?
So that's a great one here. Let's see. Just Family Consumer Science. Yeah, it's Family Consumer Sciences.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Just curious.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve the report as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote? We're waiting. It's okay.
Went through.
Not for me yet.
There it goes.
I think because you're sitting so close, you get it
The
like
vote is
quicker than that.
unanimous. The motion has approved.
All right, next up, we have the adoption of the 2023 tax levy.
In your backup materials is the adoption from the tax levy, and Mike will go over a couple things here in a minute. Just to respond to Mr. Rivera, thanks for coming in this evening. This is obviously an annual event. Typically in the November meeting is when all the backup material is provided to the board, the discussions take place. It's all put in public, in the public perspective, so it's right here on board docs, all the supporting material and the discussions. It's posted, it's in the newspaper, and then we come back and vote on that in December for the upcoming year. I'm encouraged by your participation, and we're always open to sit down with community members and go over any of our financial statements. The one thing I will say from Brad and now to Mike, our treasurer's reports month by month, I don't think you'll find a more detailed treasurer report in the state of Illinois. I go to other board docs all the time. So in terms of the transparency, I think we're pretty much spot on. I completely understand your concern as a property owner, and it's something we do take the responsibility as administration, and I can speak for the board, I believe, very seriously when it comes time for these discussions. But please know that this is something that has been in the works. This isn't something we just throw on an agenda and say, here it is in December. So after this evening, I would encourage you and anyone who would want to come, please contact Mike and myself. Mike will buy lunch. We'll sit down and go over. We would be happy to go over any questions you might have. It is a little different structure than in some other industries. We know that. And we talked a little bit earlier, one of our challenges right now, quite honestly, is still the consideration of our bond debt. It's large for the percentage of our operation, and that's one of the things that is a challenge. We have about 9 years left to pay on that, and then we'll provide some relief to taxpayers. But at this point, we're kind of locked in. We've refinanced that 127 million at under 2%, and we leveled it out at 27 million each year for this. So we refinanced 135 million at under 2%. We've leveled it out over the remainder of the payments, and so we're doing what we can. But I did want to let you know the board did deliberate last month. Mike will bring it open for the resolution, and as I said, please reach back out. We'd be happy to sit down and discuss any of the questions you might have. Okay, go ahead, Mike, if you want to provide a quick overview.
Yeah, so last month, as you know, at the November meeting, we presented in detail the levy. As the board knows, and for anyone in the community, the way that our tax levy works is we're in a tax cap county, and so we are limited for existing properties to increase no more than 5%. We do have some areas, and as I mentioned, medical insurance as a good example earlier, where we have seen costs tick up. Part of the reason that we levy the way that we do is to ensure that we capture any new properties coming onto the tax rolls. We want to make sure that we're responsibly collecting and then responsibly spending. And I think that we try to do a very good job of that. Any time that you do exceed that 5% to capture those new properties, the Truth in Taxation law requires us to hold a public hearing that we had earlier tonight. Legal notice was published, and there was a question earlier, so just to reiterate, the law states that can happen no less than 7 days, but no more than 14 days must that legal notice be published. And so we did comply with that, and it ran in the Herald News on the 12th of December. There have been no changes to the recommendations I brought last month, and so the 2023 operating tax levy recommended for your approval tonight represents a 6.66% increase, once again with existing taxpayers experiencing an average of 5% and the remaining portion coming from those new properties. And then the overall levy, including debt service, as Dr. Tingley mentioned, represents a 7.06% increase. Both of those numbers are lower than 22 going into 2023. As I share each year, the county assessor's office determines the final valuation of properties after the calendar year closes and sets our extension accordingly. The money we receive is reduced to whatever's calculated per their valuation. So regardless of whatever any initial request was, in other words, we can't receive more than we are eligible to receive. But no other changes from last month.
Right. Any questions for Mike or Dr. Tingley?
No, just a comment. I mean, just to reiterate, I mean, if you look at other area districts, I know you put it in our materials, but we're running lower than the nearby districts in terms of tax levies. You can just, take a look at it. It's kind of interesting information. And then, he also points out that we do forfeit our right to new builds. So if we don't take that levy amount, so just two really good comments. So thanks, Michael, for your work.
All right. Do we have to read the resolution?
Please.
All right. So be it resolved that the Board of Education of Lincoln Way Community High School District 210, Will and Cook Counties, Illinois, has ascertained and determined and does hereby ascertain and determine that the following special taxes be levied on the taxable property located in Lincoln Way Community High School District 210, Will and Cook Counties for the levy year 2023.
So moved.
Second? All right. We have a motion and a second to pass that resolution. Can we please open the vote?
The vote is opening.
Yeah. Once Dana says she got it, 5 seconds and I'll get it.
There it is.
Mrs. Stokes, may I call your vote? Oh. You did.
Never mind.
Thank you.
Assuming it passed?
Yes.
All right. Okay, moving on. We have the technology purchase for student devices.
So included in your backup material is the technology device purchase. Now, this is something that has happened since our last strategic plan. Part of the last strategic plan, we were not 1-to-1. And so this year, we were all 4 grades 1-to-1. Last year, were we all 4, Cheryl? I think we were, but they weren't all good devices. So this is the first year everybody had a good device. So we had built in, excuse me, into our plan, 800,000 was budgeted for this year. We went out to bid for these and received the quote of 701,000, so we are 100,000 below budget. So we would ask the board to approve the purchase of Lenovo's, and that will be for next year's incoming freshmen. We typically will start to receive those February, March, April, May. Gives us the summer to program, and then they're handed out to the students in August. But felt really good about this price. Cheryl did a good job, and it came in 100,000 under budget. And this is a little bit better device than what the current freshmen have. So the sophomores next year will be a little jealous. Newer iteration, but yet less expensive. So good work on that, Cheryl.
So better devices, but less expensive?
Yeah, it's-
Sign me up for that.
and it has the stylus, which the math teachers want. It has all everything that, what the teachers wanted. So feel good about this.
This pretty much will be yearly, right? Because then they will retire them after their senior year?
Correct, they get to keep them. They get to keep them. They get to keep them. So every year now, we purchase for the freshmen, and we've had success for the devices lasting 4 years. And so we're in really good shape, and the students then take them when they go. They pay the insurance for each of their 4 years that we do fix the devices and keep them up and running. And our dollar amount, we'll talk again in student fees, but so far it's been good.
Scott, is it the same low replacement cost too?
Similar replacement cost, correct, Cheryl? Yes.
You mentioned the math teachers said that's like the device they want. Does the staff have input on what they're looking for? So when we go out to bid, or we have that in?
I actually got demo units from Dell, from Acer, and 2 different units from Lenovo. So we had several of the administrative team look at them, and a few of our teachers come in and take a look, department chairs, take a look at the device.
Oh.
The functionality is the same. The model we currently have for our students has been discontinued. So this is a different model in their product line. Has the same functionality for the 2-in-1 tablet that they can turn around, touchscreen, the stylus, so all the same functionality, just slightly different model.
And the longevity and the support is still going to be as good for these new devices, so you don't end up having them not be usable.
The newest generation in that product line, so we have a long
Replacement parts.
availability for
Yeah.
Great, perfect. Great, thank you.
All right, any further questions? All right, can I get a motion to approve the technology purchase for student devices as presented?
So moved.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
Voting is open. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
All right, next up, we have the second reading of policies.
Also included in backup materials, second reading. We discussed these a little bit last month. I'd be happy to answer any questions or make any adjustments that the board may recommend or request. If not, I would ask a motion to approve the updated policies as presented.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the policies as presented? All right, any questions?
Just briefly, I know some of these policies might impact the handbook and maybe things that are worded in there. When does that discussion kind of happen? Is that?
April.
sometime late April? Thank
April,
you.
yep. So we go through, and as these occur, we change the handbook. All those proposed changes goes to District 210 Advisory in typically March, and then it comes back to the board April, and then a final approval in May for the start of July 1. Yep, good
Great,
question.
thank you.
Any further questions? All right, the vote is open.
Correct. The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
All right, next up, we have the second reading for the 2024-2025 school calendar.
Always a fun topic. The calendar is included in your backup materials for approval. Now, we call this the calendar. Inevitably, sometimes there are some minor adjustments, so
Still
please,
can't laminate it, huh?
please keep that in mind. We'll probably laminate a couple, but not all of them. But I've shared this with the feeder districts. Of course, the feeders always wait for us to approve, and then they bring them to their boards in January, February, so then anything people don't like, they blame it on us. So, but this, we've spoken with our teachers union, and we feel this is a pretty good calendar, but open to any suggestions or thoughts.
All right, any questions on the school calendar? The graduations, again, are just all gonna be on the one day.
Yep, we're scheduled this year, we're going 11, 1:30, 4. 11, 1:30, and 4. I wanted to try every 2 hours. Chuck talked me out of it. So we're going 11, 1:30, and 4. Yep, we're all set.
So it's a getaway car between.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the calendar as presented.
So moved.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. Can you please open the vote?
Voting is open. The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up, we have the paving bid award.
Once again, this is a result of the bid tabulations for the projects that the board had discussed in previous months. So we would just ask a recommendation to approve the next 4 bids. We can just do one at a time, and we can ask it. Chuck can answer any questions.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the paving bid award as presented?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? All right, hearing none, can we please open the vote?
Voting is open.
Oh, no, I did.
The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
Actually, I abstained, but that's okay.
You did abstain. The
Mr.
motion.
Janik abstains.
Yes,
Mr. Janik.
but everyone else voted yes, so it
Yes.
passes. Perfect. All right, next up, we have the roofing bid award.
Once again, just ask you to approve the motion for the roofing bid tabulations as presented.
All right, entertain a motion?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions on the roofing bid award? Hearing none, can you please open the vote?
It is open. The vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up is the seal coating and striping bid award.
Same thing as presented, we just ask for motion and approval, and no change from the original recommendation.
So moved.
I didn't even ask for it yet, but that's okay. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's fine, I'm just joking around. Do we have a second? All right. And that was Denler, correct? They were the only one that bid?
That's correct. And the last time we did this, there were 2 bidders. Denler was the one that won as well a couple of years ago. Sometimes that's just what you get.
That's what happens.
We would love for it to be 4, 5, 6, but we do trust Denler. Denler's done work with us
They've
before.
done excellent,
Yep.
excellent work.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Vote is open.
The vote is unanimous. The motion passes.
And the last would be the fire approval work project to begin.
Motion to approve the fire panel work.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion and a second.
So Lincoln West, is that correct? Lincoln West Central?
Panels would be central, correct, Chuck?
Central
East
and
and
east.
central. East and central.
Yep.
Yeah, part 1 of about
Right.
6, yeah.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. The vote is open.
Vote is open. Vote is unanimous. Motion passes.
All right, next up, under informational items, we have report of the Lincoln Way Special Education District 843 Governing Board meeting held November 28, 2023.
At this time, I would request that we forego the informational items They're included in the backup materials. There's no additional action this evening. My recommendation would be to move to strategic planning in the sake of time, as any report that the board would need is found in the backup materials.
I'm okay with that. If the rest of the board's okay with that? All right, so we don't need a motion for that, I don't believe.
We need a motion to open the strategic planning session.
Do we need a motion to
No,
modify
we
the
didn't
agenda?
didn't modify the agenda, because it's still on here.
Yeah, we're just gonna
it's
kind of
on- it's
skip
still on
over it.
here. Yep.
So we're gonna need a motion to open the strategic planning session.
So moved.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we are now in
Very
strategic
good.
planning.
Strategic planners, if you want to grab something real quick before we get started, Mr. Madoni is probably going to start in about 2 minutes. Thank you. We have some sandwiches, cookies, soft drinks. Help yourselves.